Hello, hello.
Yay! Welcome, sweet subversives. It's hump
Yes,
day, and
it
you know
is.
what that means. Time for the humping. No, maybe sweet subversives
Oh, yeah, or that. Could be that.
or that, which is great. Nice to see you, Kara.
Yes, yes. Good to see you.
How are things
Very
going?
excited. You know, I'm recovering from helping family and all that kind of stuff, and trying to jam and work super hard and get the. We've launched registration for the regional trainings.
That's awesome!
So that's good.
Yay!
We did a soft launch, and then tomorrow we'll put it out to everyone so that they can get registered. So, um,
That's awesome.
yeah, pretty excited. But that's been quite the project.
Oh my god, I know it. But you guys have all done so much work. Oh, and here somebody said they're happy they tuned in. Welcome.
Yay!
Yay! Yes, we love having you. Oh, and I'm
Very
having
good.
a delicious beer tonight.
Nice.
I'm having a Guinness. And I also have 1919 root beer. So I'm going to make root beer floats later. But I was just like,
Ooh,
I think I wanted alcohol first. So this is like a creamy, delicious drink, too.
that is like a creamy,
Mm.
delicious drink. So I am doing the last of my limoncello.
Oh, that stuff is so good.
So I made it as gifts this year and kept a couple of small bottles for myself.
I like
Um,
it.
I gotta make some more. That stuff is good.
It's
It
freaking
is really
delicious.
good.
I could drink that all the time. I mean, that could be a problem, but it's so good.
And it is
Smooth,
really good just to have like a little glass after dinner.
just a little sip. The
Yeah.
lemony, it feels good. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I like it's getting me excited for spring
I know.
and like planting my
Oh,
deck garden and the all the different peppers and tomatoes and herbs and all kinds of stuff. So think I'm going to do a potato sack this year. And
what a good idea. My husband's super excited about yard stuff too. So he's like, "Do you want to start planting now?" And I'm like, I think we gotta wait another week or so because there could be it's still frosting out,
yeah,
so I don't want to kill my plants right away. Beer is good for you. Yes, it
exactly.
is. I agree. And cheers.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. Cheers
Cheers,
to you,
Kara.
Chicky.
Mm.
So this this past few days, amongst the other stuff that's happening, um, I had a discussion with a few people over what you do that you consider private, other people don't, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cover your tender plans tonight. Absolutely. And one of it was like I had mentioned um I had tried to poop in a bathroom and I had a long cardigan on and a coat,
I read that
and
post.
there was nowhere to hang my stuff. So you just kind of had to
You're like,
act like you had like the suit coat with tails and you're getting ready to sit
go,
down on a piano or something, right?
I like that.
and and a couple of people were like, "Ooh, that's TMI." I'm like, "Really? Is that TMI?"
Dude, I know you. It's not TMI. This is
Yeah,
normal.
yeah,
It's adequate, not too much information. And to TMI.
yeah. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, I mean, like, I will talk about going poop, but I know other people who they would never say anything to a bunch of people about poop, right? But they will regularly poop in front of their spouse. Like they just go into the bathroom when their spouse is using the bathroom, whether they're peeing or pooping or even just brushing their teeth. Like they just go in the
No.
bathroom. And I'm like, I would
See, there's levels. Like if there's a shower curtains closed and they can't see me, maybe pee, but never poop. I mean, poop is very personal, and I mean, I don't know if I could deal with that. I
I
just can't
can't
see.
even I can't even pee.
No, I've like I figure the water's running. If they're in there, they can't hear it because the water like covers up the sound of the pee, and then I don't flush. I'll shut the lid, and I wouldn't flush. That would be the most I would do, but I would not poop in there because I feel like that would just be like leaving a bomb behind. You know, like they walk out of the shower feeling fresh and clean, and all of a sudden they go,
Not
"Ooh,
not fresh. Yeah,
that's
so
not good."
no, I won't. Tracy and I won't even go in the bathroom. Like on occasion, one of us will find out that we've run out of toilet paper or something, and then you have to do the yell, hey.
Like, help me out
And
here.
so last time Tracy did that, and he was yelling for the toilet paper. So I inched along the hallway. This was like a Mission Impossible thing, and I slightly tipped the door open and then reached back like this so that my vision was this way and there was no way I
Oh
could see into the bathroom. And then he took the roll from me and I snatched my hand back and shut the door. Like that's
no.
how not into that we are.
I would be like, throw open the door and throw it in. There you go. Let's shut it. Like you want it. There you go. Oh, yeah, I think yeah, don't flush. Oh yeah, I see my friends that say don't more considered to flush and scald their skin off. You know, that's I'm trying not to do that. I've had that happen in my life where somebody flushed the toilet and it got cold really quickly. So, you know, I think there's some mystery that needs to be had in marriage where I mean not to the extent like they never see you without makeup and stuff, because that's unrealistic.
Right.
But
That's
to
Ms.
not
Maisel stuff.
yeah, I mean, like where you know where they go to bed with their full makeup, and then they wait for the husband to go to sleep, and then they get up and they wash their face and put their hair in curlers, and then they get up like before they get up and then redo the makeup and then lay down like, well, hello, darling, how are you? I wake up like this, and I'm like, no,
Right.
women
Oh
don't
my
look
God.
like that.
You gotta pop up Nikki's comment.
Oh, have you seen the joke where people ask for the TP and have Nutella? Oh, and they oh Nutella in the person's hand. Oh, I'd cry. I'd cry.
That yeah, that would make me cry.
I'll take backs. Oh God,
Not
I think
good.
that's a mean joke right there. And I love Nutella, but if even if somebody put it on me and they're like it's Nutella, I'm like I don't believe you. I don't believe you. It's
Well,
probably poop.
so then I was thinking about other personal
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Would you share a toothbrush with your spouse?
Not normally. I mean, I think I have like where we've been on a trip and somebody forgot and until we could buy another one. But then you kind of feel like you want to buy one for you too because you both
Right?
you cootied it up, you know. Ew. I mean I don't like sometimes you just gotta go. Okay, like in this situation, we just got to get over this thing that just for the day, and then I'm going right back to being grossed out. But like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, so this morning I go down, my husband leaves for work before me. I grab my toothbrush and I notice the bristles are wet.
he used yours. No. Yeah,
And we have those electric toothbrushes that you can change the heads on.
you're just like
And I went and got a new head and put it
time for
on.
a new one. Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I don't use his. He doesn't use mine. I just think that's common sense. But you know, sometimes people get tired in the morning and they grab the wrong one. And yet, I'm the person who I have kissed my cat on the mouth.
Yeah,
And
all
I'm
the
like,
time.
I think nothing of it. And she licked
All the
me.
time. Yep.
And you know, I'm sure parents probably like have held children and had pee on them and stuff. And I know.
Won't share a toothbrush with my husband, but I will kiss my cat squarely on the
Oh my
lips.
God, I know. Mwah. My boy cat
Repeatedly.
sits at the door. I'm like, what?
And my
But
husband evidently feels fine using my toothbrush, but he will not kiss the cat.
I'm
Although I
just
got
gonna
news for
say.
him. using my toothbrush, he is kissing the cat.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm like, well, then all bets are off, baby.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
it's good to have boundaries, though. You know, we all need some boundaries, and to be clear about them. Like, I don't know. Like, some people are really weird about it. Like, like pooping and stuff. It's fine. You know, some people are like, oh, I don't care who sees that. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like the mystery. I mean, and yet, I mean, I've shared drinks with people.
Hmm.
My mouth has touched
Oh
this
yeah.
stuff. Somebody else has like touched it. I'm like,
I'll
there's a
I'll be
theoretic.
having cocktails with a table of ladies, and we will literally pass the cocktails around, each of us taking a drink because we all ordered a different cocktail.
And what I'll say in favor of that is alcohol kills germs. So there you go. That's why that's okay.
That's what we tell ourselves,
That's what I tell myself because I want to taste that drink. Not
right?
like this. You darn libertarians. Yes. So yeah, I think there's a few things that I won't do, but and I won't do that. Like
Yes.
anything for love. Uh, but alcohol kills the nasties. You're right. It does. That's what like, and if I even mention it as a joke on Facebook or anywhere, they'll be like, "Aren't you know that's not true? There's a pandemic," and I'm like, "Alcohol kills everything. Just keep drinking your way through the pandemic. You'll be immortal. It'll be fine." I love it. Oh, you have to. Oh. We're writing to each other. Kara's like, now I have to
Never
poop.
know. Never
Wouldn't that be a fun show? Like Kara like brings up
know.
this topic and then she carries the camera into the bathroom. And you're like, this is the part where we need to like have like if you want to see the rest, join our Patreon. For OnlyFans, sweet subversives.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to see that. But I say that and then somebody will be like, I'm on it.
Yes.
Nope. 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 Yes, that
Yes.
might be TMI.
Yep. And
Oh, and
my mom's like, "Yep."
if you drink from my glass, it becomes yours. Oh, that's a good way of getting a free drink.
Yes, it is.
Mental note. Oh, this person's dentist said chewing tobacco prevents
Heck,
cavities. I don't know, because all your teeth fall out? Maybe.
so what what we do wanna get to
Oh,
is,
yeah.
do have a guest or guests?
We have two guests on. I'm going to bring them on right now.
Okay, excellent.
Oh,
So,
one of them
hey,
disappeared.
Justin,
So
oh,
Oh
we'll see if
no.
it's
Greg
just,
pops back on.
hi, Justin.
Hi, Heather. Hi,
Might have
Kara.
just had, like, a little internet issue. So what we're gonna be talking about tonight is, we have Minnesota libertarians joining us, and, we the whole nation has been really focused on Minnesota this past year. Um, because we had such a public incident of George Floyd's death, and the fact that it was videotaped, like that whole time was videotaped by a bystander. And then it expanded into protests that didn't just start in, stay contained to Minnesota. Like, they swept across the country. Like, pretty much every major city had some type of protest going on last summer.
It's true.
And then we got to a situation where the officer was charged and there was going to be a trial. And there was this whole lead up. Thanks for joining us, Greg. There was this whole lead up then into the trial. So, everyone has been watching Minnesota, but it's so interesting to see what's on the news versus what we all experience and see. And I think that there's been a fair amount of disconnect in multiple ways. on what media is portraying all of this as and what it's been like in Minnesota and what it's really been like. So I thought we would start the conversation of, what do you remember from last summer? And, we were in the lockdowns because of our tyrannical governor.
Mm.
And yeah, yep. And so we were just maybe thinking about emerging from that. And then this happened and we had protests that were happening. And then the protests got, we'll say, very spirited. So what do you guys remember from last summer on that? What was your experience?
Yeah.
I guess I'll go ahead. I remember waking up that morning and, jump on Facebook, and you're inundated by everyone sharing this video. And you watch the video and you're literally just, dumbstruck when you watch it. You can't believe that
Yeah.
what you're seeing actually happened.
Yeah.
That was my sort of my first take of it. The second take of it is, what's going to happen next. There's going to be insanity, because there should be, because we can't have what just happened happening. And for me personally, like, I had to work the next 3 nights away from my house,
Right.
because I work rotating shifts, and so I have to leave my family at home, granted suburbs, whatever, but still, and go be somewhere where I have to be and not be able to be at home. And that's a weird kind of fear. It really is. There's not a lot of things that bother me personally, but when you can't be at home to protect your family, that's troubling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's surreal, I guess, is kind of, even still, almost a year later, still can't hardly believe that morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember watching
Yeah.
that film and yeah, I mean the just hearing someone begging and watching him go limp and hearing that firefighter begging, that EMS firefighter begging and begging and begging because she knew what she was seeing
Mm-hmm.
and getting more frantic, just begging to be able to help him. I mean, that's something you can't ever forget. But what did you experience, Justin?
Oh boy. Well, as the pandemic goes, I'm pretty fortunate. I have a good job that I can do easily from home. I
Mhm.
hung the banner as because my coworkers have a sense of humor when I'm doing video calls. So I couldn't imagine being in Greg's situation where I would have to be away. We've been in for so long, and wife and I have the conversation, if something should happen in Burnsville, what are we ready for? We're capable of defending ourselves and our family, and just thinking about the civil unrest and everything. And I have such a hard time. I really haven't seen the video a lot. Kara, I think we've had the conversation. I can't even watch the episode of Next Gen where the Cardassians torture Picard, so I really have a
Right.
hard time with 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 not believing what I'm seeing on the issues of. This guy should have known better. Most of society still expects the best of law enforcement. I've had a very cynical view for a very long time. I don't talk about this a lot, but in in 2003, my cousin was shot by a police officer to death. And he lived in Anoka County. And there wasn't much in the media about it. The best we can piece together is he went to the door armed, and the police didn't identify themselves and took that as a threat. They were responding to a noise complaint of all things. My cousin was a landlord and apparently had been threatened earlier in the day, so was on edge. So that was 19 years ago. That was the first time I realized, can't trust that the right thing's going to happen. Prosecuting police, out of the question. Then it was out of the question as recently as 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And now I hate to admit this, but when I saw the events at the 3rd precinct, it was actually rather cathartic for me in a way I didn't realize I needed. That people's voices are louder, and that that government needs to be respected by the people, not the other way around. No, I said that backwards. Government needs to respect the people more than the other way around. Yes.
Yeah.
So and for the longest time, I think society's been far too trusting, and we're starting to see that turn. And so that was the biggest memory I had, was watching what happened that night, and the message being sent that, and I mean no disrespect, because obviously Carol holds a position in my city, so I wouldn't wish that regularly, but at some point society needs to say, hey. And I was outright shocked at the verdict yesterday. I if I were on the jury, I would have absolutely voted the same way, but I didn't think there would be a jury that would have that in them in the near future, to draw the line in the sand that boldly. I mean, I made the comment with you, Kara, that I thought the speed meant it was a compromise verdict. He was going to get a slap on the wrist for man too.
I thought it was going to be manslaughter.
Yeah, so I was shocked at the verdict, pleasantly surprised, because now the jury has sent the message, and this has to be in every law enforcement officer's head going forward, that they are willing to do this unless you start cleaning yourselves up. And that's been my main issue with law enforcement, as long as I can remember, is that the saying is, a few bad apples spoil the bunch, and people misinterpret that. They think that means, that it's okay to excuse the bunch, but no, the saying means it's imperative to remove your bad apples.
Right.
And they have failed to do that. And this guy has a record, several complaints that have gone under. This was completely preventable if not for stupid politics. So a lot of that anger came back with me too. But those are the biggest things I can think of as far as. But I used to work downtown, so I'm seeing all the places I'm familiar with. I still work for the same company, just from home now. I've been downtown once in the past year, and not during anything like this. So, but I see, I worked in a building 3 blocks from the government center, and I'd walk over there, see the city and what it's coming to. And I hope this is a turning point. I made the comment yesterday that this doesn't change the past, but hopefully it made the future better, because it is a future where people are claiming the right to hold people accountable again. And that's what I think everybody's been crying for and rightfully protesting for. So.
Well, and there has been a lot of criticism of the protests. And I do separate out protesting from opportunistic looting and burning. Like, I see those as separate.
Me too.
Those are separate things. And part of the problem is we have people who will only talk about the protests and ignore that there are opportunistic crime happening. And there are people who will only talk about that opportunistic crime and paint all protesters as if that's what they're all doing all the time. Right. And it depends on whether you're on the left or the right on whether that's happening, right? But people have not been allowed to change the system from within the system. That's
Absolutely.
not been allowed up until this point. So yes, you're going to get loud and sustained protests when you give people no option to have an orderly method to change something. They have to take an unorderly method. But
Absolutely.
what have you seen, Heather? Like, what do you remember from, last summer? And because you're in Mankato, so you're
Yeah.
in outside of the Twin Cities corridor. So what was it like outstate?
Well, like you'd think there wouldn't have been anything happening, but people were reacting with their hearts, and people were so outraged about what happened. And in Mankato, they actually had like peaceful protests during the day, and then a lot of the people came up through our town and walked down like our main street and up the hill, and the police kind of followed them, and then it turned into like a baby mini like riot, which is sort of ridiculous. They threw rocks at Target. I'm like, Target, whatever. But
Yeah, what's the hate for Target? That I
don't
didn't
know.
get.
I freaking don't understand. It's a Minnesota business mostly, but I don't understand it too, because they always seem to be going for the same thing. And then they did loot one cell phone store, which I thought was really dumb. But that's the opportunistic side. But nobody talked about
They
the fact
wanted
that,
the good cases.
oh my God, I love the good cases.
Yeah.
They're
So
My Raya tasteless observation about why they looted the Target made no sense to me, and they didn't even touch the Kmart, which has already been condemned because they're going to be rebuilding
Yeah.
Nicollet Avenue through there again. So, I mean, I know that's not huge in the scheme of deals. I want to go back to what you're saying about making sure we separate the protesters from the looters, because I think that's very important, because the protesters are absolutely doing exactly what the First Amendment intended, and that's exercise their right of free speech. And that was my other observation from the summer, is it seemed the police were more interested in worrying about them than anybody committing violent crime or I mean, cynically, it's because they're an easier target. I mean,
they left alone the people that were doing the opportunistic crimes. So the people that were doing the opportunistic crimes, where they were taking the opportunity to steal or do things like that, and whether they want to say that was a protest action or whatever, that was opportunistic crime.
yeah.
That was left alone. And then all of the harsh police and military response was on people who were simply protesting. And they may have been protesting loudly, and they may have been protesting without a permit, and they may have been protesting at night.
Yeah, after curfew.
But that is where all of the government force was directed. It was not at all directed on the opportunistic crime.
Correct.
And I'm glad to see there are segments of the Democrat Party that are ready to throw Governor Walz under the bus for this.
Yes, they're calling for his resignation.
After observing. Yes, and
well, it's happened twice now. It happened this summer, and he was like, and he was like, "Oh well, I will change things so we won't do that again." And then he created Operation Safety Net and did the exact same thing again, going after the protesters, not going after opportunistic crime. That can just happen, however much, whatever, that's fine. But going after the protesters, going after journalists, and going after them hard.
But you can't question the DFL. The DFL is the holy word of Minnesota.
But they're now divided over this.
Yes, and they should be.
And they should be. And they should. And he's gotten along with it. He's gotten away with it for far too long.
Yeah.
Yes. But we don't have credible opposition in Minnesota either.
No, we don't. We don't have anything to rally around.
Right.
We have Kara.
I mean, I voted for Josh Welter, but that's just,
I did too.
We do have Kara.
But yeah, it's just amazing to me that they're so busy hating each other they don't see how bad both sides have become. I mean, and we were joking. I didn't have a drink. I just drink water.
That's okay.
I'll have a course for you.
I don't. Yeah, thank you. And I'm all in favor of other people, but I don't consume alcohol or drugs or anything. I'm all in favor of other people
Right.
doing as much as they can. So then that's been my problem with the argument from the right, is that they're telling me that this was just an overdose waiting to happen, as if somebody like me that's straight edge, if you will,
Yeah.
would survive Chauvin's assault. If I would survive his boot on my neck
No.
for 10 minutes. No.
No.
It's so insulting that they want to defend law enforcement that blindly to that effect. You know.
It
So,
has been crazy because
Amen.
we've been watching Democrats in our state. For the most part, we do have a little bit of a civil war going on with our Democrats, but we have our mainstream Democrats who normally, if you had a governor that was doing this to their population, that was protesting government violence, and the response was more government violence, they would be throwing a fit. It would be 24/7. And yet, do you see any of our local, like any of our state elected officials at these protests? No, you don't. Do you see them saying one damn word? No, you don't.
Nope.
And then you have the Republicans in our state, which I have to say, this has got to be one of the most effective psyops that we have ever seen to mass brainwash the Republicans in our state into defending inner city Democrat elected officials against the damn people protesting against the Democratic elected officials. What the hell?
You think they'd be on the same side?
Yes.
And when you point it out to the GOP,
Indeed.
they're like, oh, that's not what's happening. I'm like, yeah, it is. See, Mabel's worked up now. Mabel's like,
campaign
fuck
manager.
this. Yeah.
She knows when to come in and calm me down. So
I know it. She's like, oh my God, mommy is having a rant.
You love the rant.
you're the best, Mabel. So, oh man, but it's been a year and I'm still processing, because I made sure I watched it live when it happened, and I expected to be angry or at least trying to talk myself into man two's at least a step in the right direction, even though I know we have much further to go. And I think we still have a ways to go, given that this still appears to be an exception and not the rule as far as police officers doing this getting convicted. And you know, and I do not own the magic blue suit, but if I took one of my neighbors and leaned on his neck for 10 minutes, I'm at the very least going down on the same charge. So,
well, and you know, we need to be
neighbors,
part of the conversation. We need to be part of the conversation over this isn't just about police. And I know that there is this intense focus on police, but this is like this whole area of criminal justice reform. And the very first step of criminal justice reform is stop begging for bullshit laws.
amen.
Stop making everything illegal. Stop making everything illegal. Absolutely. 150%.
First step.
Because people, they beg for all of these bullshit laws, and then they're shocked when bad things happen when they're enforced.
Right.
You know, and the flip side that I see to that is, you know, some of the people that are happy, literally happy about George Floyd, Dante Wright, these people were criminals.
Right.
They should have been executed. You're literally advocating for just roving death squads? That's what you want? Is for the cops to just be randomly executing people? Because that's what you're saying.
It's this weird fantasy that, you know, we all have a piece of we all have a piece of control, that we can set the world up the way we want to and send other people to do the dirty work of making that happen. And it is dirty and ugly, and but that's kind of the neocon fantasy. I mean, speaking as a recovering one. So
Well, and for every person, I'm sorry, this is a Midwest thing. For every one of you who says, hey, you should just comply, I saw all you mofos at a kegger running through a cornfield. I'm just saying,
When the
every
cops were
one of
chasing
you
them.
have booked it through a cornfield or a bean field when the cops showed up. So
Yep.
don't tell me
Right.
Well,
that
and beyond
if you
that,
just comply.
Don't just
You know,
comply. Wait for the
yes,
cops to
comply.
arrest you. No
just
thanks.
wear your mask. Oh no, I can't wear my mask. My rights are
Right,
being
right, right.
infringed upon. I won't comply
yeah.
with a mask.
No
Oh.
shit.
Oh, wait, what? Who has to comply
We're all
with?
doing.
How is this authority so flexible that you get to pick what gets complied with, and other people don't?
Yeah.
Right. No, exactly. Everybody does it. There needs to be that attitude needs to be shifted. That not everything you think is best for the world is the government's obligation to enforce. You need to
Right.
just you have a right to yourself, and you don't have the right to send in people that will commit acts of violence to enforce your worldview.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
100%.
gentlemen, I'm going to wrap it up with you. Thank you guys so much for
Well,
joining
thank you
us.
for having us, Karen. I'm
Thank you.
honored. So,
Really
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Yes, thanks,
And
guys.
have a good one, guys.
all right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys.
Awesome.
Okay, and we want to bring in Chris Holbrook. Chris Holbrook is the state chair of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota, and he has been out at the protests almost every night and every day. So he has really seen firsthand what this has been like. And he's also been doing some serious coalition building. If you want to affect change in your community, you're going to have to find people who also want change in your community. And it doesn't mean that you think everything exactly the same, but it means on this area of this project, you can work together. So is he available to pop in? There we go. Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Hi, Kara. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Chris.
Good to see you. So you have been out at these latest protests, which were not focused on George Floyd or the Chauvin trial. They were focused on Daunte Wright and his death. And so you've been out at the protests for that. What have you seen at the protests? What has your experience been?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, and I apologize for being dodgy throughout the day. I've been very, I'm struggling with my emotions, and I don't want to control a conversation. I don't want to spike a football, but so this was a last minute agreement to come on your show because I love you, Kara. I love you, Heather. You guys have been long good friends to me. And some other people asked me to come on their shows, and I've just been avoiding shows and photos and comments so I can deal with my own struggles around this right now. So I don't want to upstage any of your previous guests, but I just chimed in, but the protests I've been at, yes, in Brooklyn Center for Daunte Wright, I've gone over there, I don't know, 8 of the last 10 nights or something like that. And the things I see and experience are not what you see reported in your corporate media, in your mainstream news. What do I mean by that? When I go there, I see a celebration of life. I see people demanding justice for all people, for all humanity. And I say it, and I wear this shirt proudly right here.
Yes.
I say Black Lives Matter, and people who argue that are discrediting the attention being brought to this problem right now. You can't say all lives matter unless Black lives matter. And that doesn't mean you're signing on to a Marxist ideology. That means, as you, I believe, pointed out a few minutes ago, you have to find coalitions where you can work on similar objectives. And if your qualifier is 100% approval of everything on their docket, you'll never accomplish anything.
Right.
When we say we want to reduce taxes and we support tax reduction bills, we don't say, oh my God, that means you endorse everything the Republicans have on their docket. When we say we support repeal of marijuana prohibition, that doesn't mean we support everything the DFL has on their docket for writing that bill.
Right.
So when people say, oh, if you support police accountability, that means you support everything BLM has on their docket. That's not true. But so I dispel that. And the outpouring of love I see at these rallies, I see people handing out food. I see donations. I see collections. I see music. I see dancing. I see cooking. I see children. I see families. Everything is to, I forget the quote from Thomas Paine about, society gives you what you need and government, gives you the rest or whatever. So I see what the people need when they come together. They provide their own security. They provide their own legal advice. They provide their own medics. I've shown picture after picture after picture of this. And the
security has been interesting. And one of the things that has irritated me within the libertarian conversation is not acknowledging that at these protests, what they have been doing is doing what libertarians have said to do, which is come together, create your own security, and they watch not just for outside agitators coming in or police action or anything like that kind of stuff, but they also make sure that if people are doing dumbass shit, and I've seen this on the live feeds, like when people are chucking the water bottles, they hustle them out. They tell them that is not acceptable. They stand there, they have the conversation, they're standing right in front of them. They're saying that's not acceptable. That's not what we're about. We're not going to do that. Stop doing that. If you have to continue doing that, you're going to have to leave. And that is libertarianism in action. That's everything we say we want people to spontaneously do, and they're doing it. And I'm watching some libertarians, not many, but some, mostly it's, actually in the DFL and the GOP, that's the majority who are doing it, who are shitting all over that.
Yeah.
Not even acknowledging it.
Yeah. Yeah. And what they're doing is calling for more state control to repress that.
Yeah.
They are not only not speaking on behalf of it, they are countering that.
Yes.
And you illustrated the point perfectly. This is what excites me. It exhilarates me. It gives me hope. It gives me, there's a thrill when you go to these events. It's like being at a festival, honestly, until the police throw down the fucking hammer. And they have done that repeatedly, and it's been proven. And there are people who deny that out of instinct, and they're being proven wrong when you look up the videos, the facts, the reports. Now the Department of Justice is getting involved to investigate potential abuses against First Amendment rights. Although
I truthfully, I look at that with a scandist eye, because I think that is, they're just trying to do a Band-Aid to say, this was a couple bad people just in one city. We'll do our investigation. We'll write our report. And then everything is fine, because that's a way to throw a cookie to try to get everyone to take their eye off of ending qualified immunity, stopping all these shit bad laws from even being started. There's like a long list of criminal justice reform that we need to do. And I think that is an attempt by government to guide this in a direction that they want. I have a scandus eye on it.
You mean kind of like arresting one police officer or dismissing one police officer, like that appeases the situation and fixes it?
Right. Done.
Yep. Oh, here's the sacrificial lamb. We'll check into it. But at this stage, Cara, you have to give some kind of legitimacy to the complaints that I've been lobbying about the credibility for them being reinforced by the Department of Justice saying they're going to investigate this.
Right.
So you can't dismiss it out of hand unless you instinctively want to dismiss it out of hand. The people who say, let's wait till all the facts come in, don't want the facts to come in. And then when they hear them, they dispute the facts.
That's right.
I know it's hard to like, so, you know, people that tune into our show, usually our shows are pretty lighthearted. You know, we're always looking for the sunny side of things and all that kind of stuff. But this has really affected all of us this year. And it hasn't, I mean, it's been longer than a year because things have been going on for a lot longer than a year. But the intensity of this past year just has been unrelenting. So you lived in St. Paul. So you were there with like tanks, you had helicopters going over, all that kind of stuff. You were just like living it every single day, whether you wanted to or not. It wasn't like you could decide to go to a protest or not decide to go to a protest. You were 100% immersed in it the entire time. You've since moved out of that area, but you've still chosen to come back and join in protests. Why did you make that decision? Especially when I know earlier this year, it was so hard on you. It was very difficult.
I've had a very hard last 12 months, and I haven't been shy about that. It's hard to talk about, but I think it's important to talk about. Even at the rally in the fall, you know, I virtually broke down talking about the deaths I've had amongst my friends and my family and my neighborhood. And I lived in that neighborhood, you guys know, for 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. And when you are as caring about your community as I am, you spend time in the local coffee shops, at the local newsstand, at the local Target, even though I hate corporate Target, the gas station, all these things, and to see them destroyed, not because of a reaction, not because of the protesters, but because of the incident that triggered protests. And that it absolutely broke my heart. And as you pointed out, I moved about 6 months ago just because of safety concerns for myself and my wife. 5 blocks from my house. I have videos, and I don't think I've shared a lot of videos, but I haven't shared some. Standing on my roof, filming that, 5 buildings in my neighborhood, flames shooting up 30 feet at the same time. It was apocalyptic. Why do I go back and get involved now? Because I cannot accept that future. I cannot accept that destiny, and I will not. I will fight for liberty and freedom and justice for all people, and giving up on a community that I love, that I will always be a part of, whether I live in St. Paul proper or a suburb of St. Paul, is of principled importance to the fiber of my being. And I will never, I can't stop. I won't stop. And people who think I should, and then I've gotten a lot of heat for that lately from quote unquote libertarians who think just comply with the state and everything will be fine. But I live for and speak for the people, and I say people with a capital P.
Right.
So that's where my heart is. It will always be there, and I don't hide that. I never have.
So we have a question. Dave wants to know, have you had any success introducing libertarian ideas or reducing laws with other coalition members? And are they accepting of that and of you as a libertarian? Aren't they just as concerned about your political views as some of us are about theirs?
That's a great question. The answer is yes and no. The coalition partners that I have formed with do not identify with a political party. And it's ironic that the Libertarian Party does not identify with other political parties, essentially, besides their own. They challenge the other political parties. And what's extremely wise, and I call them the community elders, the people who lead these 20 groups who have formed for justice, for lives stolen by the police. It's not just one group. It's not just two. This is, it's like when you bomb a country and terrorists come to attack you. We have bombed our own community, and now these groups are forming and joining together. Yeah. And I praise them. I'm part of them. That's me. And I hope this group can come into that. And if not, obviously we can talk about this some other time. They can boot me. But the response from them is, we don't endorse political parties, but we welcome your endorsement of our efforts. And I've brought specific bills to change things. And I know a lot of people don't, I don't want to insult people and say they don't do the homework, but they just watch a couple news snippets and see, oh my gosh, you guys are just joining Black Lives Matter. Well, as I alluded to earlier, there's some things that some of the people who are in that group are also in this other group and have written some good bills. None of them are proposing Marxism. None of these bills are proposing redistribution of income. The bills we've agreed to partner with them on are specific 9 policing reform bills, which we beat a drum on for years as libertarians. End qualified immunity, mandate professional police liability insurance, end no-knock raids, send mental health professionals to mental health calls along with police. I mean, I have a list. The actual bills, they're on our website. Yeah. This isn't just hashtag complaining and keyboard warrior shit. These are actual changes, but marching in the streets with these groups are how these changes actually occur.
See, we are not hearing that anywhere from anyone. What you have just said is information that simply does not get out. And I also know that there's another bill winding its way through that certain crimes, such as not having your license tabs, are no longer they are not a primary for being pulled over. And so there's also bills being introduced that are looking at the enforcement of stupid laws section, right? Let's not have these as interactions with police, and separating out traffic areas from actual policing where we need people to assist with theft, rape, murder, those types of things. Those should be separated out. So we're looking at that, and we're looking at also, yes, what you talked about, separating out that mental health component, which is a different area. So what you said is amazing and is not being reported or talked about anywhere. This is the first time I've heard people talking about it.
Cara and Heather, that's because people love the comfort of retreating into their collective tribes. They love their tribalism. And you see it with all the conservatives telling me, or the LPMN, you need to be against liberals.
Right.
And all the liberals say, no, you need to be against conservatives. And I'm trying to say, listen, all you fuckers, we need to be against the government because they're all the same.
Yes.
And we have specific proposals on how to have the government be accountable to the people. And you're
I would
right.
agree with you, except for R.S. Rogers says that I'm way too statist to be on board with that.
Well, he did steal the name of a superhero, so I support Facebook kicking him off.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so Dave is asking, how can we help? This sounds exciting. How do we get involved and help?
I'm so glad you asked, because, and I say it repeatedly, you need to get involved. You need to call, you need to write, you need to email your representatives. That is not that big of an ask, even for you introverts. You can get on your computer and send an email. You can look up a phone number and send a voicemail. Those numbers to who to contact and that information is on our website at lpmn.org. When you go to our blog, we have the bills identified and who to contact, and that is what changes stuff. And those who don't think that matters aren't paying attention, and they're not getting their boots on the ground. And without going on forever, obviously you have seen body cam footage is released within a day.
Mm-hmm.
You have seen officers fired or quitting within 2 days. You've seen charges brought within 3 days. Do you think that all just magically happened because the government felt like doing the right thing?
Exactly.
No, it's because people have demanded accountability with phone calls, with emails, and with marches. Be a body in that. That's how you can help.
And for people who have a concern about, well, I don't want to buddy up with those people, whomever you term as those people, you don't have to like 98% of what they're about if the 2% is something you can agree on and it will be something you feel is worth advancing. That's
Yes.
what coalition building is. It's let's find the area of agreement and we're going to work together on that specific area. And that's it.
You're 100% correct. And I don't know the percentages, so I say 100%. Maybe you're 99.9% correct. And I say if you're 80% in agreement with someone, you have an ally. Kara, you're a city council person. If you were adamant that, okay, it's my way 100% or nothing's happening, nothing would ever happen. And you don't have to agree with everything, as I illustrated earlier, an organization supports. You just have to find areas you do agree with, because you achieve change when you collate with other people who have the same agendas. And I actually abhor people condemning other people for how they pursue that agenda. I just praise people for pursuing that agenda.
Yes.
Right.
Doing our best.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And when we in our Sweet Subversives, we're going to put the link up to that area of the LPMN blog to get that information out there. And, we'll also put it in like the comments section of where we post this video so that people know where to find that so that they can add their voice to assist in this. Chris, I can't even thank you enough for everything that you do and how you lead by example day in and day out. I have so much appreciation and respect for you.
I really appreciate that, and I'm going to try not to get choked up, but if I could take a minute to just, express how passionate and important this movement is to me. I have, in the last year alone, gone to over 50 rallies and marches. And it almost gets redundant. You see me out there marching. You see my signs. This is not a collection I ever wanted to have as a child of signs demanding justice for people who have been killed. But I will always demand justice, and I believe in identifying, and that's why I'm a libertarian. I believe this is the party that identifies with those principles. It's very uncomfortable right now for some people to hear that these principles need to be applied at this time. Yeah. But that's also part of the process of changing not only the Libertarian Party, but society. And I was so relieved. I really had a hard time yesterday. I went down to the courthouse to hear the verdict read live, and I broke down. And I don't, people are trying to take pictures and stuff, and I'm covering my face. This is not about me. This is not about me. This is justice for Black families. I'm just a foot soldier for them. And if I can bring my effort, my love, my money, you guys know my dedication to this type of stuff, I will do it eternally. And I hope I can bring this party into doing it also. So I appreciate that, because I get a lot of arrows thrown at me for doing that. I think irrationally. And we'll see what happens going forward. But I really appreciate your that you see me, and I know you guys both do.
Absolutely. We do. We do, Chris. We have so much love for you. And we're gonna have one hell of a time at the Minnesota convention.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So,
Heather and I have a secret. We're not gonna tell you.
But it's going to be awesome.
I like secrets. But anyone listening who's on the fence about going to the convention, I've never hidden who I am. I am who I am. And if anything, the last year has inspired me to be more of who I am.
Yeah.
And as you said, leading by example. If libertarians don't like that, they can find someone else. But I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep fighting for this change within this party and within this society. That's my commitment to you.
Well, we appreciate it. And we do look forward to the Libertarian Convention coming up. So if you've not gotten tickets to that and you want to go, hey, go join us. We will have a fantastic time. And I agree with Dave's comment. This we did all need to hear this.
You win. You will lose. The people.
Love that. I love
That's
that.
the other side of that's the other side of my most recent sign.
Very nice.
So,
Very, very nice.
Oh, according to
Thank you
Justin,
so
there's
much.
not many tickets
I
at the
know.
LPN, so if you want to go,
go.
then-
yeah.
And Heather and I, along with Pat Barnum, we have a hospitality suite. So I'm
Yeah.
just going to say there will be
Swap
shenanigans.
I know where I'm sleeping.
yeah. Shenanigans.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Chris. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you, guys. I love you both. I love you all.
Chris. See you
All
later.
right.
Oh, that was awesome, Kara. Man.
It was. And that was so interesting to hear about the very specific legislation that the 20 affinity groups that are forming at these protests have been coming together to put this legislation together and try to get that forward. So that was incredible.
I found a link. I'm not sure this is right. Is that the right one? Okay, because I thought I found it.
We'll check it.
If it isn't, we'll double check it and I'll get the right one. But I did it really fast, so I'm like, it looks right, good enough. So I just wanted to make it up on the show sheet. So there. But,
excellent. Well, we usually do the one awesome thing. We're over on time. So I think the one awesome thing is we got through this week.
Yes, we did. I think that's awesome enough.
This was a hell of a week. So
oh my God. But we're getting there. And and spring is coming and it is going to be glorious. And I feel like
absolutely
we're right on the edge of change. And I think hearing people talk about how passionate they are about making change, I think it's going to happen. Together we can do it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you all for watching tonight. We should thank our patrons.
Yes, we have Patreons. Thank you for Michael, Travis, and David. You guys are awesome and we love you very much. And if you too want to be a Patreon, and maybe Kara will poop. I don't know. No, she won't. But if you want, you can support us too and be a part of our sweet fun. So, and we do stuff every week and talk to our Patreons a little bit more than you guys even. So, haha. So you too could join in. So that's how you do it. Go to patreon.com/Sweet Subversives. Da, 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 da. And that's it. I can't think of anything else.
That's it. We're over.
We're overtime.
We're overtime.
Dang it. So we love you guys.
It was packed. So
yes, we had a lot of good stuff. So we will see you next Wednesday. Have a great week, guys. Love you.